when you decided to release some awaiting prisoner, that particular decision to, do that, where did that come from?
Well, I knew before I assumed office as the chief judge that there was a lot of prisoners awaiting trial inmates, and it was causing serious congestion in the prisons. And then it's the statutory duty of the chief judge really to visit the prisons periodically and release those that should not be there. So I just made that one of the things I would do, because I had only 2 years. So I had to really prioritize those things that I would try and focus on to make an impact. And and the release of prisoners was one of them. Decongestion of the courts, of the prisons, was one of them. So I started that immediately. My first legal law week, the day after the legal the services, the legal year service and all that, the day after that, I started visiting the prisons. And I was alarmed at how many inmates there were awaiting trial. And that's why there was this humongous figure that I released from Kirikiri Maximum, Medium, and Ikoyi prisons. And I tried to do that every 3 months. I think I did another one in December, January, another one the following June. I did about 5 or 6.
Now, there's this problem of awaiting trial. Where do you think that problem comes from? Is it awaiting trial inmates? There's so many. There are even more than the number of cases that have already been decided in court. Where do you think that problem comes from?
Various departments have various parts to play in this. It's not just the courts, the police, the Ministry of Justice, and that's why I set up a committee that dealt with all of them together. So before we did any exercise, the police were involved, the Ministry of Justice was involved, the prisons themselves were involved. And so that's why we could get comprehensive, release exercises. But, I think there's a general fault in the country. People are still being chucked in prison for things that they could get parole for. People are just being chucked in prison because some big man somewhere just wants his houseboy locked up for stealing, whatever it was. Let's be honest, things are still happening like that. And if these exercises are carried out periodically, we'll find that, it'll stop. It'll stop. People are still using various arms of government just to perpetrate mischief on hapless individuals. Like there was a case I handled where the wife had stolen jewelry, which I hear she had returned. She was pregnant. I didn't, it was quite a surprise. Were you there on that exercise? I did the wife separately. She had that baby in prison. I mean, later, when we got back to the office, my staff said, my lord, you don't know what you have done today. Like, there was a whole family locked up, and you released them. I didn't know that. So I heard the story how the husband was locked up because the wife stole jewelry. I don't know, but what if the chief judge continues to do it, all this will die down.
Now, let's come back again to you. How do you think people see you? Are they scared of you? Are they, I remember when I was coming in, I was, but I said you were very pleasant when you came in. How do you think people see you?
Well, people see you as a very, very formidable person. But in whatever office I have occupied, I've tried to give it a human face. And I've tried to demystify the office. Because my philosophy is a leader must be a good servant. If you're not a good servant, you cannot lead properly. And you've got to be able to identify with those who you're leading. And if you're too far away from them, you won't be able to identify with who you're leading. And you won't be able to make any impact. Although they do respect the office, but I operated an open door policy. Anybody could see me really. If I was too busy, they'll give you an appointment. But for members of staff could walk in and see me and tell me their problems. If I could solve the problem, I'll solve it. If I couldn't, I'll say, I'm sorry, I can't do much about this. If it's something else, I can help. That kind of thing. I just made myself accessible as much as I could. Some people do take advantage of that, I must confess. But by and large, when you're serving the people, We've just got to be patient and tolerant. And I did my best to do just that.
I'm sure you're, as a judge, you're a detailed person. When you see lawyers appear in court a bit sloppy and not knowing exactly what they're supposed to do, how do you handle such lawyers?
I tell them what to do. Like in court, like I can understand, because I'm sorry to say this, the products we're having now from the law school are not the same products as we were in our days, because there were fewer of us, so there was more attention paid to us. But now there's so many of them, like you said, that there's very little the teacher can impart. They're going to learn, most of what you're going to learn is going to be in practice. So I'm patient. And I say, well, you need to go back to chambers and you need to tell your principal to put you through as how to do this, 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 and this. And I'll give you one more opportunity to do it properly. So I'll adjourn the matter for that person to go and learn how to do it properly and come back. So the litigant doesn't suffer because of the inexperience of counsel. And I think that's the best way to handle it.
You've retired now, and is there anything you thought you would have done differently in your discharge of duties?
No. I did all I could do the way I wanted to do it. And I've left history to judge whether I did it right or did it wrong. But that's the way if I were to do it all over again, I'll do the same thing.
We wanted to talk about the constitutional amendments, right? And now the constitution of the members of the committee, what's your take on the members of the committee? Because youths are not represented there. What's your take on that?
Well, like I said, I'm of the view that the whole constitution should be thrown out and a fresh constitution made by we, the people of Nigeria. What we have now was forced upon us by the military. To me, that is unacceptable. It's an aberration for the military to prepare a constitution for the people. The first sentence is we, the people of Nigeria, so it must be drafted, formulated, the ideas of the people of Nigeria. They set up a constitutional conference committee, I don't know what it's called. I didn't see any young person there. We need the ideas of the 20-year-olds, the 30-year-olds, the 40-year-olds, the 50-year-olds. It should cut across the various age groups in Nigeria. And we should all come together and say what we want to be in our constitution. That's how we're going to fashion our own democracy. So, candidly, I think we should do a fresh constitution, and there should be young people's ideas in that constitution. As it is now, I don't see the ideas of the young people there.